Hello, my YouTube family. This is Dr. Lee, and I'm back with another one of my videos. This is for Credentia, and today I'm going to be doing skill number 11, which gives a modified bed bath, which will include the face, one arm, hand, and underarm. So I'm going to go ahead on, step outside of Miss Mary. This is Miss Mary. Step outside of Miss Mary's room. And then begin the procedure. At the end of the procedure, as usual, we'll talk about each one of the steps. All right, so let's get started. Good morning, Miss Mary. How are you doing? Great. My name is Dr. Lee, and I'm one of the CNAs that'll be taking care of you today. And I'm here to give you a modified bath. Is that okay? Great. I'm going to pull the curtain to provide for privacy. I'll go wash my hands and gather my supplies, and I'll be right back, okay? So I'm going to look at the evaluator and say I am washing my hands. And at this point, there will be supplies laid around on a table or on a counter in the exam room, so you would want to go in and get your supplies. I'm going to get 2 of the big bath towels and probably 4 little small washcloths. That's more than enough, but that's what I'm going to get. A basin, my soap, and then a bath blanket to help with covering the patient up, and a pair of gloves. All right, so let's get started. So I have my one big towel that I want to put on the table, and I like to put a towel down because patients eat on this table, and I want to have that covered. I'm getting the rest of my supplies. I have a dry towel. I have a clean gown to put on the patient, a bath blanket to cover the patient up, my basin, and soap. I'm gonna kind of turn the camera a little bit so you can see where I'm getting my water at. So my hands are clean because I just washed my hands to get my clean supplies. So I'm gonna get a paper towel to turn the water on so that I don't dirty my hands up again. I'm gonna put water in the basin, and for this particular skill, probably 1/4 of a basin full of water will be enough. You also want to test the water to make sure the water is comfortable while you're at the sink. So I'm testing the water, and I can say the water feels comfortable, and continue putting some water in the basin. I'm going to go ahead and dry my fingers off. And I'm going to turn the water off. I'm going to bring my basin over here on my table. Now, one thing that I do, and I teach my students to do, but you don't have to do, is I get an extra paper towel. Because when I go to the patient's bedside, I'm going to have the patient test the water. And I like to give the patient a paper towel to dry their hands with. If not, when the patient puts their hand in the water, it's wet, and then if you don't have anything for them to dry their hands with, they either drying it on their clothes or they're drying it on the sheet. And so for me, it's just a courtesy to bring over an extra paper towel. Once again, bringing this extra paper towel is not a requirement for Credentia. All right, so now I'm ready to go back to my patient, and let's pan this around so you can see me at the patient's bedside. Okay, Miss Mary, I am back. I wanted to have you test the water if that's okay with you. I'm going to bring the water over here, and I'm actually going to put your hand into the water. Okay, great. Is that okay for you? And I am talking to the patient as I do the procedure. That's good? Okay, great. Let's put your hand back there. I'm gonna put this basin over here so we don't spill the water. Okay, Miss Mary, I'm gonna go ahead on and put on my gloves. Now, I brought over a bath blanket. Now you can use a bath blanket or a sheet, but you're gonna need something to keep the patient covered up and warm during the bath. So I'll just leave the bath blanket folded halfway, and I'm gonna place it over the patient's chest and abdomen area, like this, okay? Now I'm going to take the patient's, I'm gonna move the camera, pan it over just a tad, there we go. Now I'm going to take the patient's top sheet and bring that down to around the pelvic area. So Miss Mary, we're going to be bringing your sheet down, okay? And I have the blanket to keep you warm. Okay, good job, good job. Okay, now I need to take off the gown that the patient has on. So Miss Mary, if you can raise your neck up a minute, let me take this, untie your gown so we can take it off. And it doesn't matter which arm you take off because we're not doing any skill that has to do with the weak arm. So any arm you want to take off first. So Miss Mary, let's go down and take this arm off. Let me know if I'm hurting you. Okay, great. I'm going to slide the gown over to the other side, keeping you covered. Okay, good job, Miss Mary. Let's go ahead and take your other arm off. All right, great. Okay. Now, I'm going to immediately, once I take this off, put this into a hamper that's in the testing area. And most of the hampers will either say dry linen, wet linen, or it just may say linen. At our school, we have one that says dry linen, wet linen. It's just right behind the camera. So I'm gonna go take this and put into the dry linen container. And these are what, one says dry linen, one says wet linen, okay? All right, so now I'm ready to start my bath. And again, the state does not care which arm you do, as long as you do the procedure. And I think I'm going to move this table to the other side of the bed and do her right arm. So just bear with me, I'm sorry. And make sure you can see me over here. I think you have a better angle. Okay. Okay, Miss Mary, I'm going to take my washcloths and I'm going to put it in the water. I brought 4, may not need 4. I really could do it with 2 or 3, but just in case I need an extra one, I have it here. So 4 washcloths, I'm going to put it in the water. The patient has already tested the water with her left hand, so I don't care which hand the patient tests the water with, as long as the patient tests the water to make sure that the water is comfortable for him or her. Now, I have to start, and this is a requirement, I have to start with the eyes. I have to start with the eyes, and I'll point that out at the end of the video. So, what I like to do is take one little corner of the washcloth, and I'm going to actually start at the inner canthus, which is that little corner by the nose, wipe across the eyeball to the other side. Fold my washcloth at the area that I used on the skin, because you have to fold it so you don't transfer dirt to another part of the body. And then clean the other eye, start at the inner canthus and go across. Fold that. And then I have this rest of the towel that's free. I'm gonna kind of make like a S and go all over the face without letting my hand come off. There is no soap on the towel, the washcloth that you use for the face. No soap on this washcloth, okay? So, Miss Mary, let me raise her head up a little bit. Miss Mary, we're gonna raise your head up, okay? So that the students can see what I'm doing to your hair. Okay, I think we're at a good angle. Okay, Miss Mary, if you can close your eyes, I'm gonna start with one eye and I'm just gonna go across your eye. If you can close your eye, remember start at the bridge of the nose and come across. Great job, Miss Mary, you're doing good. I'm gonna fold that area over and we're gonna get your other eye. If you can close your eye, Miss Mary, great. Now I'm gonna fold that part of the towel over. I have all of this left to wipe the person's face with. Miss Mary, I'm going to be wiping your face. I'm going to start at your forehead and just kind of go around, all right? Let me know if I'm being too rough or anything. Here we go. I'm going to wipe all the way across the face and not let the towel come off. Okay? You see how I did that? Now, this towel does not have any soap on it, so I can reuse it if I want to. I'm just gonna hang it over here to the side. I have a dry towel because I brought 2 of the bath towels. One I put on the table as a barrier, and this is what I'm gonna use to dry. So Miss Mary, we're gonna just, let me take one little corner and dry your eye. And let's dry your other eye. Pat, dry, pat, 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 pat. Fold that over. And then now I'm going to dry the whole face. Great job, Miss Mary. Thank you so much. You did a good job. Now, the state asked me to do one arm, hand, and underarm. So I'm going to say, Miss Mary, let's go ahead on and expose one arm, keeping her covered under the bath blanket. I'm going to take my dry towel and put on the bed, up under her shoulder and arm. Can y'all see that? I have a towel here kind of patting the bed. This is so that I don't leave the bed damp after the bath. So now I'm going to get my second washcloth. I'm going to add soap to it. So I have my soap here. Going to add soap. Okay. Now that I have soap on it, I'm going to massage the soap in. And remember, do not put soap in the bath basin water because you need to rinse, and you don't want to rinse with soapy water. Okay? So I have this here. Okay, now I like to start at the shoulder. And as long as you don't take the towel off the arm, you don't have to worry about flipping and changing your position. So I'm going to support her arm, start at the shoulder, come down, go around, get under the armpit, and then just bring your towel on down, keeping it on the patient, don't take it off. Get down by the fingers. And when I get down by the fingers, I like to cover the fingers up with the towel. And then this way I can go around each finger, thumb, and get the hand, everything done real good, okay? This has soap on it. It cannot go into the basin, so I'll put that over to the side. Now I'm going to get my third washcloth, because remember I brought 4. Now my third one. Support the arm. I'm going to start at the shoulder again, wiping off the soap, get up under the armpit, and just come right on down. Do not take the towel off the patient. Come down by the fingers, so I'm just sliding this towel on down. Get it over the fingers. Get around each finger and palm of the hand, okay? And make sure you get around the nail beds. All this while the towel is on the hand. This can go over to the side. Now I have washed, I have rinsed, and what's left for me to do? To dry. I have my dry towel already on the bed because I padded the bed with the towel and put the arm on top. I'm just gonna cover it up, dry under the armpit, and just dry the whole arm. Okay, make sure you dry the fingers, the palm of the hand, fingers, nail bed. And now that everything is dry, armpit, I can put this over to the side. I do not want to forget that I need to put a clean gown on the patient before I leave. I need to put a clean gown on the patient. I'm going to place the gown under the blanket, slide it over to one side. Now I'm going to put the patient's arm, one arm in through a sleeve. Miss Mary, are you doing okay? Okay, I'm not too rough, am I? You're comfortable? Great, good job. Miss Mary, we're gonna raise up your other arm so we can get your sleeve through here. Great job, Miss Mary. I appreciate you helping me. Okay, I'm gonna keep you covered. We have to secure the gown at the neck. So Miss Mary, I'm gonna raise you up just a little bit so that we can tie your gown, okay? Here we go. Good job. All right, I'm just gonna bring this tie over to the other side, and then I can secure the gown. Okay, Miss Mary, you comfortable? Okay, great. I'm going to get ready to start cleaning up and putting all of my supplies up. I'm going to bring your sheet back up on top of you so that I can take the bath blanket. So what I would do, just take the top sheet, bring it up over the patient, and now you can take the bath blanket because we're going to have to put that up into the dry linen container. All right, I'll put this on my little table to go. Okay, Miss Mary, I'm just about through. I'm getting ready to start putting everything up. Let me go ahead and put everything up, wash my hands. I'll come back and give you the call light, okay? So now, I'm going to take my dry things and my wet things and put them in the basin where it goes. So I'm just going to bring this over to the counter. So I have a container for my dry linen. Put that in here. My wet linen and things, I'm putting into the wet linen container. I still have my soap and one towel on the table. I'm going to get that. Put that in the appropriate container. Now, this area says designated dirty supply area. So I want to empty my bath basin. I want to rinse it out and pour the rinse water down the sink. So I'm going to turn the water on. I can use my bare hands because my hands are dirty. The water faucet handle is dirty. Okay, I'm going to pour the rinse water down the sink. Then I'm going to dry. And make sure you dry in and outside of the basin. And I'm going to leave it right here where it says designated dirty supply. I'm going to leave my soap over here. Now, I can take my gloves off. Wash my hands. I want to make sure I tell the evaluator I'm washing my hands now. Now that my hands are clean, I can go back to my patient. Give my patient a call light. Miss Mary, before I go, I want to give you the call light. You can push the red button if you need to get a hold of me. I'll put it right here where you can reach it. Is there anything that I can do for you before I go? You want the light off or a magazine? You're good? Okay, great. I'm going to open the curtain. Now I'm at the point to where I want to tell the evaluator that I'm through with my skill. But before I do that, I just want to kind of look around, make sure I have everything put up. I have things in the designated dirty supply area where it's supposed to be. I didn't leave any towels on the bed. Now that I'm comfortable, I would say I wash my hands and I'm through with that skill. Okay? Now, let's talk about it. So this is with Credentia Skill number 11. So number 1 and 2 says to explain the procedure to the patient, introduce yourself, provide privacy with the curtain or the screen. We did that. Number 3, remove gown and place directly in soiled linen container, ensuring that the patient's chest and lower body is covered. Now, it's a few things that's important with number 3. I got 3 things I need to do. Number 1, remove the gown. Remove the dirty gown. We did that. And after you remove it, don't leave it on the bed, don't leave it on the table. It says, and place directly in the soiled linen container. So as soon as I take that gown off, I'm going to go walk to wherever the dirty linen hamper is and put that gown in the dirty linen hamper, because it told me to do all of that in this one step. Remove the gown, put it in the dirty linen container. And I have to do what? Ensure that the client's chest and lower body is covered. Well, how am I going to do that when I'm giving them a bath? That's when I bring an extra sheet or a bath blanket to cover the person up. So you have to do all 3 things in step number 3. Remove the gown, put it in a dirty hamper, and make sure that you put some type of covering on the chest. Okay, so that the patient is not exposed at any point during this skill. Step number 4. Before washing, checks water temperature for safety. Who is supposed to do that? Me. And I checked it at the sink. And I got something else I got to do with number 4. Ask the client to verify the comfort of the water. It didn't say verify the comfort of the water on the arm that you're going to bathe. Any hand that I put in the water is going to tell you whether or not the water is comfortable or not. So don't get caught up on you had the patient test the water with the left hand, but you bathed the right hand, or vice versa. It don't tell me that. It just said have the patient test the water. So that's what we're going to do for number 4. I test the water and the patient tests the water. I have 2 steps. If you omit one, you get that whole step wrong. Okay? Number 5, puts on clean gloves before washing a client. So I don't care when you put your gloves on. You can put your gloves on when you come back. You can put your gloves on before you take the gown off. You can put your gloves on after you take the gown off. But what did the state say? Have the gloves on before you start washing the client. So when I put my hand in that basin of water and I'm putting soap on it and I'm getting ready to put it on the person or wipe their eyes, I better have gloves on at that point. That's what the state says, okay? Now, my critical step, number 6. Number 6 is in bold, which means if you don't do it, this is an automatic flunk. So let's pay close attention to what number 6 is saying. Begin with the eyes, not the arm. Begin with the eyes, okay? So that's one part I have to do. Number 2, wash the eyes with a wet washcloth. That means no soap. It's a difference between a washcloth and a towel. I have to have the small, some people call it a face towel, but it's the correct name is washcloth, the little small one. That's what you have to use on the face. Do not get a towel and try to use a corner of the towel. The state said to use a washcloth. That's what you got to use, okay? Wash the eyes with a wet washcloth, no soap on the face. using a different area of the washcloth for each stroke. What's a stroke? When you come on the face, when you come off, that's a stroke. That means flip it and then wipe and then flip again. If the towel does not come off the face, you don't flip in the middle of turning. I flip, and then you can get the whole face like that without flipping, because my hand did not come off the face. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, washing the inner aspect to the outer aspect and then proceed to the face. What is the inner aspect? This corner of my eye right by the bridge of my nose. Wash from the inner to the outer. Flip your towel. Other eye, start at the inner to the outer. That's what the state is saying. So the eye is very important. Sometimes people have pink eye. You know, you can get infections in your eye, and you don't want to spread it from one eye to the other eye. And this is why they're very particular about how you wash the face. Now, sometimes my students will say, well, Dr. Lee, why is it that we don't put soap on the face? A lot of people have facial allergies, and they use different cleaning solutions for their face, and they don't use soap, but they'll use soap for the rest of their bodies, just not on their face. So this is why we don't put soap on the person's face. And again, this is going to be done on a live person, on your partner. Number 7, dry the face with a dry towel or washcloth. So now you see they give you a choice with drying it. You don't have a choice with rinsing the face. Okay, so pay attention to the words. Whatever you wet when you're taking a state exam, make sure you dry. I wet the face because I rinsed it off. Now I have to do what? Dry the face. Number 8, expose one arm and place a cloth or a towel underneath the arm. Why do we put a towel underneath the arm? So I don't get the bed wet. I don't want to leave the patient laying on wet linen. So that dry towel, I put it under the arm, and then I proceeded to wash the arm. Number 9, apply soap to a wet washcloth, the small one. Now, number 10 says, I want you to wash the fingers, including the fingernails. So when you bring that towel down, make sure you go over each nail bed. I want you to wash the fingers, hand, arm, underarm, while keeping the rest of the body covered. I only took one arm out from under that blanket. Okay. Then I'm going to rinse the areas that I wash. That's number 11. Number 12, move body gently and naturally, avoiding force and overextension of the limb. So I frequently ask the patient, Miss Mary, am I too rough? Are you comfortable? Is it hurting? This lets the evaluator know I'm paying attention as to whether or not I'm hurting the client by moving their arm. This is important because sometimes elderly people may have arthritis, bursitis that morning, and it hurts for them to move their joints and things when we're giving a bath. Okay, so we want to be gentle. Number 13, put on a clean gown, because you can't leave them naked up under that cover. Okay, so make sure you put them on a clean gown. We took the dirty gown off in the beginning, put it in the linen container. So now I'm going to put them on a clean gown. Then I went over to the sink, number 14, and I emptied. I did 3 things with that basin. I emptied, I rinsed, and dried the basin. I emptied, I rinsed, and I dried the basin. Okay. Number 15, place basin in designated dirty supply area. I put my basin over where the little sign is that says designated dirty supply area. I put my basin there. Okay. And 16, dispose of linen into a saw linen container. I showed you the containers that we have here that says dry linen, wet linen. Avoid contact between candidate clothing and used linen. 18, remove of gloves without contaminating yourself, and put the gloves in the trash. And then number 16, the signal device. I came back and gave her the signal device. And bed in low position. When you go to take your state exam with Credentia, the bed will always be locked and in the low position unless you unlock it or raise the bed up. Now, we have electric beds here at this school, and our beds can go up or down. And I know in the textbooks it says, you know, bring the bed up to your waist level. Excuse me, it's allergy season here in Houston. It'll say bring the bed up to your waist level. I teach my students, I am advising you strongly, don't raise that bed up. Work with it for that little 30 minutes that you have to do your skills. Keep that bed in that same position. Because if you raise that bed up and get nervous and forget to put that bed down, that's a safety issue. The patient can fall off, break their hip, break an arm. That is a serious safety issue, and it may affect you passing that state exam. So for this little 30 minutes, I teach my students, leave the bed alone. The bed is already locked because we're not going to have clients get in the bed and the bed is moving. That's a safety issue for the state. The bed is low, wheels are locked. So I'm going to leave it there. So for number 19, only thing I have to do is give her a signal device. Now sometimes students like to say the bed is low and wheels locked. I only tell my students to say that when I have to say it, like if you're moving a patient out of the bed to the wheelchair, where it is a required step. But for number 19 here, give them the signal device. You didn't move the bed is already low. All right. Hopefully this made sense. So this is skill number 11, gives modified bed bath to the face, one arm, hand, and underarm. All right, so if you like the video, please subscribe, hit that like button, tell your friends about it in class, and I will see you in the next video. All right, so long, goodbye.